you. They usually ask old people to give speeches. I guess I've arrived. And quoting our beloved Colonel Grady, my name is Elizabeth Beaton, and I approve this message. Oh, you can't take that away. No, you can't take that away from me. Who are you? You are embarking on a journey you will spend the rest of your life discovering. It's a mystery, a buried treasure that no one but you can uncover. Who are you? Sometimes a clue is found in what you are not. We live in times of choices. Choice is the chant of our time. When I was a kid, there was one meal served in the cafeteria at lunchtime. One, not today. There are more choices about food and clothing than ever before. There are choices about political leaders, sexual orientation, the women's right to choose. That much freedom can paralyze a person. It can be downright depressing if the answers aren't clear right away. Allow yourself to be limited by your discovery, by the characteristics that define what you are not. For true freedom lies in discipline. Now, many people know my mom is a Nazi labor camp survivor, World War II Germany. My brother wrote a beautiful account of her life in a book called Trapped in a Nightmare. And one chapter includes a memory of my mother's mother, my grandmother, whom we call Babcia. Babcia was repeatedly asked to renounce her American citizenship. Her response was, "I am an American, I will always be an American, and I will die an American." Well, that didn't go over very well in a Nazi labor camp, but she was very outspoken. Another episode ended with a German soldier's fist in her face and blood and screaming, and my mom, at a very young age, had to witness her own mother being beaten severely. Let me read you a passage. One summer morning at sunrise, Tomasz, the Polish foreman in a German labor camp, gathered the workers in the courtyard and told them they weren't producing enough and they had to work harder. Mama spoke up and said, "We can barely survive on what you're feeding us. Feed us more and we'll be able to produce more." The next morning before 6 o'clock, Mama got up to report to the courtyard with the other workers for their daily work orders. I lay in bed. Instead of the light from the nearby window waking me, I arose to the sounds of loud voices from outside the courtyard. I heard Mama's voice, and then a man's voice overshadowed hers. I listened closely but couldn't make out what they were saying. The tone of the man's voice, however, was unmistakable. He was yelling at Mama. The sound of his voice scared me. I peeked out from one side of the attic window and looked down over the courtyard, and from there I could see Mama standing face to face with Tomasz. Other workers stood by awaiting their work orders for the day. Some hung around for no other reason than to watch Mama get scolded. The veins in Tomasz's neck bulged as he screamed at Mama in what seemed to be a never-ending tirade over something having to do with food and work. I couldn't really follow the conversation. Without warning, the foreman reared back and punched her directly in the mouth. With a back and forth motion, he continued to punch her. Mama screamed and covered her face with her hands to deflect the punishment. The initial expression on her face was one of disbelief. I hurried down the stairs shrieking, "Mama, Mama, what is he doing to you?" I jumped from the last few steps and ran out the door into the courtyard. My grandmother was very outspoken. She knew who she was, and so did everyone else. Sometimes we hit a mountaintop in our journey, and we actually penetrate very clearly into what we are. Follow that light. When I was 3 years old, we all went to a wedding in New Jersey. My dad was an international performer, and he was singing with a 20-piece band, and as he got off the stage, I ran up to him and, "Daddy, Daddy, when is it going to be my turn?" And my father said, "You want to sing?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, go up there and ask that band leader to play the song Born Free in the key of C." And so I did. I ran up and I tugged on this guy's pant leg, and the guy turned around, and this little 3-year-old, I said, "I want to sing Born Free in the key of C." And I did, from beginning to end. And I knew, I have a memory of this, I knew I needed to sing. I knew I needed to be on stage. And you have these little lights that shine in your life, things that happen when you were very little that will foreshadow what you will do when you are older. Follow that star. That's a star leading you in a certain direction. Most of the time, who you are is very different from anyone else. I'm going to advocate publicly for something unpopular in the present day. They can fire me if they want. Find God. Whoever He is for you, He has the handbook that came with you. He wrote your book. Talk to Him, or meditate, or something. Think. Most of the time, who you are is very, very different from anyone else. Don't let that scare you. That only means you're unique. Sometimes you are hard to find. That's okay too. It just means you're more precious. Don't be surprised if you discover even more limits along your journey. Observe them. Sacrifice. Now there's an ancient concept. Sacrificing for your goals and your identity is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Don't worry, you won't miss out on anything. Like when you skip the party for the big test you're studying for, or the concert you're preparing for, or you miss the championship game in favor of a recital. When performing at a ball in New York City in 1960, my dad met the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. And after the show, the group that was sitting with that girl invited my dad to an after-hours party. Pardon me. Despite the fact that he had fallen in love at first sight, he left the party early because he needed to get enough sleep for the next singing engagement he had the next day. Does that sound familiar, chorus students? And also, before that singing engagement, he had to go to church. "I'm Catholic and I have to go to Mass," he told that girl. "But can I call you later?" He ended up marrying that woman. That beautiful girl was my mom. And she was so impressed by the integrity of my dad's sacrifice for the greater good, or the greater goal. Sometimes we are more than one thing. And then it really gets interesting, because now you have the opportunity to make a list of priorities. I love lists. Can I share mine with you? First, I am me, God's creation. Then, I'm a wife. Then, I am a mother. And only then am I a teacher. And only then am I a singer. It wasn't always that way. When I was young, I thought I was a singer first. But that set up a hierarchy of priorities that didn't feel right. Suitcases and long periods away from home are not me. And God wasn't first. But with my new priorities lined up, life feels right. Choices and decisions become less confusing, less daunting, and my purpose in life is clear. Along your journey, practice. Practice being who you are. The wings of this experience will take you higher than any drug, and you will truly be high on life, your life. And it will fuel you when you're tired. It will inspire you when you get bored. It will cheer you when you're depressed. And it will unlock your purpose in this crazy mixed up world we live in. Try as they might, they can't take that away. You will find your center and strength and breadth and vitality and peace and joy. Thank you so much for inviting me this evening. Na zdrowie, dobranoc, z Bogiem. I wish you amazing discoveries. Thank you.